It's time for our weekly conversation with pride of the Jaguars running back Fred Taylor. Week 2 finally is here. It's been a long week, Fred, after the way things went down in your neck of the woods last week. How are you?
I'm good, JP. It's been a long week, but as they say, in order to be great, you have to have a short-term memory. And hopefully the guys are feeling the exact same way after a tough performance. We saw some good stuff, but they got to make sure they get that out of their minds and get ready right here for the Browns.
And let's start with this Cleveland Browns team. I mean, it starts on defense for them, at least for me. I mean, they've got a fantastic edge rusher in Myles Garrett. They've got a linebacker who can play, who just got a second contract in Owusu Koromoa. They've got a three-time Pro Bowl corner. So they have a guy at every level and Jim Schwartz as the defensive coordinator. So for the Jaguars offense, Doug Peterson, Press Taylor, Trevor, play callers, all that stuff. This is a fun matchup this week, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun matchup. I think, though, if they have some really good film to dissect, throughout the week, that would get them in a good position. I think if the Jaguars are going to do anything, the Dallas tape, they can see a lot in the Dallas tape, see a lot of the big plays that the Cowboys were able to make, and then they can neutralize a lot of stuff that the Browns are going to do. In the pass rush game, the best way to neutralize that is to run the ball as good as you ran it a week ago. Tank Bigsby, he ran phenomenally. Travis Etienne, I know he's want to hurry up and get back out there. So as we mentioned at the top, having a short-term memory, he wants to make you guys forget about that fumble as well. So, they're going to come out, I believe, and try to establish the run because if they pass it or put it up a lot, then you give the returning defensive player of the year, Myles Garrett, you give him a big opportunity to wreak havoc and create turnovers. So run the ball, throw efficient passes, take shots here and there, and you can put yourself in position to win.
Yeah, a little more on the running back thing, and they both got some time last week. Tank Bigsby looked good, Fred. So this is a good sign for this offense.
That's a good sign for the offense. I think the big thing that we've always talked about with Tank is, making sure he holds on to the ball. That can destroy your confidence as a runner so much. It destroys the confidence of the coaches and the guys that have to alternate the guys in. So, he had a good showing. Had a very solid preseason. He followed that up by a great outing versus the Dolphins. I thought he was going to take that 198 yards. Got a little tripped up there, end up being a 26-yard run. But Tank has the tools. He certainly has good size, good speed to make it happen. And hopefully, those guys can be a good interchangeable group like Maurice and myself and other backs that I had to share the backfield with. Hopefully they can be the highlight and the focal point of the Jags offense this year, which would mean, a lot of pressure off of Trevor, where he can go back there and, the play caller can keep the opposing defenses off balance. And it would just be good things for the Jaguars offense altogether.
Fred Taylor with us, prior to the Jaguars running back pivot podcast co-host, Jaguars Browns coming up. What's going on with Deshaun Watson?
Man, that's
a loaded question on and off the field. There's a lot going on with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, it's sort of like my kids playing Pokemon Go. I don't have a clue what they're doing. Same with Deshaun. I don't know what's going on. But I did hear him come out, in all fairness, as a former athlete, someone who's been in the exact same chair as him, someone who's had to deal with, loss, stress, and all that other different stuff. And I'm not making any excuses for him. The past is the past. He's only played 13 to 14 games for the Browns. Obviously, we know a lot of those games or the missed games, the big reason why with the whole off the field stuff. But when he's on the field, it's mind-boggling that you go from being such a great, potentially great quarterback when you're in Houston. The Browns reach for him, pay him all that guaranteed money, and then it seems that he's a no-show. But I believe Deshaun, he still works out hard. I know his agent. I know where he trains. He's doing all the necessary things to put himself in position to go out there and play well. It's just not translating for him. So, you know, he lost his father a week ago. You know, he lost his friend, former teammate there in Clemson. So, I want to give him some grace, right? At least for last week as a fan. We have to also understand that these players are human too. As much as we want them to go out there and be this tough NFL pro football player, life is life and life is gonna life. So I want give him grace, extend that to him for week one at least, or I actually JP realistically, however long he needs, because life is life and that's his family involved. But I root for him. I like Deshaun. I think he's a good kid or a good young man. We've had some conversations. Uh, toss out the allegations. That's not my place to judge. But from the guy I've talked to, he's been very respectful and humble in his approach. But I don't know. But I do know that the Jaguars pass rush and the defense, if they can play, as they played last week, for the first 3 quarters of that game, first 3.5 quarters for that game, for the most part of it, minus those 2 big plays to Tyreek and your guy Waddle, your Bama guy. I think they're going to be okay in getting after Deshaun and securing a first home win of the season.
Fred Taylor with us. Tyson Campbell sounds like could be down for a little bit. Doug Peterson didn't seem too positive about that hamstring diagnosis. He's never wanted to give full details or give a timeline. He just doesn't want to hold a player to that. But I know you're close to Tyson, and he just looked so frustrated on the sideline that he knew, boy, it's happened again.
Yeah, that's that tricky hamstring, and Doug is right. He doesn't really have a clue, especially when it comes to hamstrings. If you get an MCL, you can say 3 to 4 weeks, maybe 5 at the most, depending on the severity of it. ACL, we know he's going to be lost for the year. Achilles, same thing with all these other injuries, but hamstrings is the most. You asked what was going on with Deshaun Watson. The hamstrings make you ask the same question: how long, when, where? You think you're ready to go, you burst on it, and then next thing you know, you're out again. You pull it again. Tyson's father, he texted me. It's like, hey, you talk to Tyson, kind of give him some pointers what to do with the hamstring. The first person I thought of was the guy who I trained with at Pete Bomarito down here in Bomarito Performance. I was going to extend reach out to Pete to ask him if he could do anything to help Tyson. I don't know what it is, JP. I don't know if it's hip, as the game goes, if it's his hip alignment, if it's exhaustion, if it's endurance. I don't have a clue. You go playing the entire offseason in practice, you're practicing fast, and then you get in a game and it's a different change of pace. It's more plays. And man, it's such a mystery. I don't know, man, but I feel for Tyson. I know he wants it. He wants to be out there. The hamstring is frustrating again and again and again, and he's had it a few times. So I just hope he takes care of it and finds himself in a position where he can get out there and stay out there.
All right, Fred, final thoughts here. Home game, home opener, coming off a loss. Browns coming in. They didn't look good last week. Got to go get this game, right?
It's so early, and we don't want to use the word must win or the words must win, but I would like to think from a confidence standpoint and letting the guys know it's going to be okay. For me, this is a must win. Looking at the Browns and what they did a week ago versus the Cowboys, who I personally don't believe that the Cowboys are a better team than the Jaguars, just overall makeup. But the Jaguars have to prove that themselves. They got to go out there. They got to start fast. You take a 14-0 lead. You got to find a way to maintain that. You got to make sure you're not giving up the big plays against. From an offensive standpoint, you got to make sure you're protecting the passer, even when it's crunch time. And that's just the NFL. There are no freebies. But this is a game that I believe they have to win. just for morale, and confidence booster in the locker room. Um, yeah, they got to get this one.
Especially with a couple tough ones coming up at Buffalo, at Houston. Yeah, a win in the back pocket would be nice. They got to go earn it, though. Fred, always
Yep,
great to talk with you, and we'll do it again in the post game.
I'll be ready. Let's do it.